I've always loved Zelda games. The Legend of Zelda is my favorite video game franchise of all time, and games like the Minish Cap, Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages and Seasons are the kinds of games that feel like home to me. So when Yacht Club Games announced Mina the Hollower, a game inspired by classic top-down Zelda, Castlevania, and Bloodborne, I was immediately hooked, but also a little intimidated, because while I absolutely love Zelda-style games, I've never really been a Soulsborne guy. I've never played Bloodborne, I barely touched Dark Souls, and I've always been kind of intimidated by those games and their reputation for brutal difficulty. So going into Mina the Hollower, my biggest question wasn't, will this game be good? It was more, can Mina successfully blend the feeling of classic Zelda adventure with the punishing challenge of Soulsborne combat? And honestly, after finishing the game, I think Yacht Club Games pulled it off. If you've been following the Razzle Dazzle Show for a while, then you already know how excited we've been for Mina the Hollower. We've had members of the dev team on the show like Sandy Gordon and Nick Wozniak, and finally getting the chance to play through the full game myself, I can confidently say this feels like Yacht Club Games' most ambitious project yet. Mina the Hollower clicked with me almost immediately. The moment I stepped into the world, I instantly felt those classic Zelda inspirations. The visual style, the music, the exploration, the top-down perspective, it all felt incredibly familiar to me in the best way possible, like a home away from home. But at the same time, Mina still manages to carve out its own identity, because it isn't just retro Zelda, this game has teeth. One of the biggest things that makes Mina feel so special is how the game trusts the player. Usually modern games are constantly stopping to explain themselves. Tutorial pop-ups, quest markers, navigation systems, NPCs repeatedly telling you where to go. Mina the Hollower barely does any of that. It just drops you into this massive world and basically says, alright, go figure it out. And I love that. The entire structure of the game revolves around restoring 6 spark towers scattered throughout the world, and the cool thing is that you can tackle them in just about any order you want. There's very little handholding. You're expected to explore, to get lost, to memorize locations, to uncover secrets naturally. Even the map itself is intentionally limited. You can't just pause and instantly know where everything is at all times. Instead, the game encourages you to pay attention to the world itself. And because of that, exploration feels meaningful. Every new area feels like an actual discovery instead of another checklist objective. And there are so many memorable locations throughout the game. Swamps, crypts, snowy regions, burning towns, mining areas, strange forests that genuinely gave me over the garden wall vibes. The entire world feels weird, spooky, and full of personality. Now let's talk about the biggest thing that separates Mina from a traditional Zelda-style game, the combat. And wow, this game does not mess around. Enemies hit hard, bosses are aggressive, dodging requires precision, and the game constantly pressures you during fights. There were definitely moments where it felt like a culture shock for me because, again, I'm not really a Soulsborne player. And Mina borrows a lot from that design philosophy. When you die, you drop your currency called bones, and if you die again before recovering them, they're gone forever. Bones are incredibly important because they let you buy upgrades, purchase weapons, unlock trinkets, and level up your stats. But what impressed me most is that even leveling your character never completely removes the challenge. Even with the strongest gear and the highest stats, the game still demands skill from the player. I kind of started understanding why people love Soulsborne games because of Mina. That feeling of struggling against a difficult boss, learning attack patterns, slowly improving, and finally overcoming that challenge. It is incredibly satisfying. There were bosses that absolutely destroyed me over and over again, but every victory felt earned. And because the game already has such a strong sense of atmosphere and adventure, those feelings feel even more rewarding. Another thing that really helps Mina stand out is the burrowing mechanic. Burrowing is genuinely the foundation of the entire game. It affects combat, movement, exploration, puzzles, and discovering secrets. You're constantly diving underground to avoid attacks, sneak through hidden pathways, cross dangerous terrain, or discover secret areas tucked away throughout the world. There's something incredibly satisfying about digging underground, zooming past enemies, and popping back up in a hidden location. Now, movement during combat can feel a little clunky at times, but I think that fits the game, because Mina fully commits to the Game Boy Color era Zelda style it's inspired by. The movement, positioning, and combat spacing all feel intentionally designed around those retro limitations. And Yacht Club Games understands something really important. Retro-inspired design only works if you fully commit to it. Visually, this game is absolutely gorgeous. And after talking with Sandy Gordon previously on the show, I found myself appreciating the sprite work and animations even more while playing the game. Mina herself is insanely expressive despite being an 8-bit style character. The animations have so much personality packed into them, and the same goes for all the weird NPCs and creepy enemies scattered throughout the world. One moment the game feels goofy and charming, and the next it suddenly becomes unsettling and genuinely dark. That balance between humor, horror, and weirdness gives Mina a really unique identity. I also absolutely love the illustrated splash screens that appear whenever you enter a new area. Every new location gets this beautifully detailed piece of artwork showing Mina in a dynamic pose, and those moments constantly remind me of how much love and attention went into this game. And the soundtrack deserves a ton of praise too. The music perfectly captures that spooky adventure vibe while still making exploration feel exciting and energetic. One thing I also really appreciate as someone unfamiliar with Soulsborne style games is that Mina includes accessibility options and gameplay modifiers. Players can make the game easier or harder depending on their comfort level. Because while the challenge is absolutely part of the game's identity, it also means more players can experience this world without completely bouncing off of it. And I think that balance is important. What impressed me the most about Mina the Hollower is that it never feels like it's relying purely on nostalgia. Yes, the Zelda inspirations are obvious, yes, the retro aesthetic is intentional, but Mina understands why those older games worked in the first place. It understands discovery, player freedom, atmosphere, challenge, and rewarding exploration. And instead of simply recreating old ideas, it evolves them into something that feels both nostalgic and fresh at the same time. As someone who loves Zelda games but was intimidated by Soulsborne combat, Mina the Hollower ended up becoming one of the most interesting gaming experiences I've had in a long time. It made me appreciate challenging combat in a way I honestly never expected. And more importantly, it reminded me why games that trust players to explore, experiment, and figure things out for themselves can feel so rewarding. Yacht Club Games didn't just make a retro-inspired adventure game, they made a world that genuinely feels exciting to get lost in. Mina the Hollower was absolutely worth the wait. Let me know in the comments if you guys are planning on checking out Mina the Hollower or what your favorite Zelda-inspired games are. The game is out on all consoles this Friday, May 29th. Huge thanks to Yacht Club Games for providing a review copy for the game and all the awesome conversations we've had with the members of the team. And as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Razzle Dazzle Show. We'll catch you on the next one.